Now, Teachers Trade Union Sadtu has condemned what it called the bashing of the union's KwaZulu-Natal Secretary Nomarashiya Caluza. Caluza had questioned a circular to schools in the province encouraging learners to wear traditional attire at schools on the 30th of August in honor of His Majesty King MisuZulu kaZwelithini Zulu. But the comeback on social media was not what the union had anticipated, with many accusing her of being anti-Zulu for questioning the circular. Some accused her of being a Xhosa with no authority to pronounce on Zulu heritage. The union has condemned this in all forms. Joining us now to explain the response in detail is Sadtu General Secretary Mugwena Maluleke. Very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, some backlash on social media following the rejection of that circular. Talk to us about your reaction.
Good afternoon, and let me greet your viewers at home, and thank you indeed for the opportunity for us to clarify our position as an organization. Indeed, we find it very, very unacceptable that our people would really go to the extent of tribalizing issues, dealing with the ethnicity of our secretary in KwaZulu-Natal, because basically the circular was merely to say, look, we have got a Heritage Day that is coming. Can we not allow the schools themselves to decide in terms of what is it that they would want to do without having to be saying they're against the monarchy of the Zulu people, because we respect the monarchy, we respect His Majesty King MisuZulu kaZwelithini Zulu. We do that, and our chairperson did attend even the coronation. The issue was not about that. The issue was that we have got the South African Schools Act that really we are governing our schools with the law to then say you respect the religion of each and every child, you respect the culture of each and every child, and therefore you need to celebrate their diversity. And therefore we found it very strange that on that particular day, then the Department of Education, knowing very well that it has got to run the schools in terms of the law, would divide the schools in the province or even in the country because of their compelling circular that was not even allowing flexibility for schools to decide on their own what to do. And really, racism and tribalism in our country has got no place. We are a constitutional democracy, and therefore, when we're debating, we must differ. But when we differ, we cannot then say Maluleke is a Shangaan, therefore he has got no role to say anything that affects the people of Northwest because they are Abatswana. We are one nation. We are the South Africans, and therefore we have got the laws and we govern our schools in terms of the law. We don't want the divisions that we saw in the past when we took over. We fought for these things, and therefore we must maintain that we respect each and everyone's right to choose.
When it comes to perhaps clarity on the mandate regarding cultural observance within public schools, I mean, where are educators standing there?
Well, there's a law that governs to then say, how do we have to deal with that? The law allows us to respect each and every culture in our schools, and the school governing body, together with the management of the school, decides from time to time to say this week is a civic day, and therefore we want to allow you as the learners and the teachers to wear in your own traditional way and celebrating your cultures. We also encourage our teachers and our students to ensure that they write poems, they write articles and come and debate about the culture and what is it that they like in terms of their culture that we can learn from each other, because the culture is very dynamic and therefore we've got to learn from each other. So the call is for the SGB at the level of the school to then say when this can happen. But obviously that particular call might have then come directly from the management of the school, who might have sat in a meeting and decided, you know what, in this particular year, this is what we're going to be doing, this is how we're going to do it, and they go to the SGB, and the SGB adopt that, and they do it. So that we're talking about flexibility, we're talking about respect for each and every one. Hence, you would realize that the religious education in our school is no longer compulsory, because you have people who are believing in African religion, there are people who believe in different religion, and therefore you needed to accommodate them because of the law, but obviously of our history of having one culture dominating all the cultures, one language dominating all our languages. Hence today we are struggling to find one another, to unite as the people of Africa, to unite as the people of South Africa, precisely because of those colonial, creations that have been left to us. So we cannot celebrate those things. We cannot celebrate division. We cannot celebrate dominance. We cannot celebrate those things. And therefore, but you know what? Racism and tribalism has really caused Africa to lag behind other countries, despite the fact that we are a rich continent in terms of minerals. But obviously, those minerals will always be like, no, they belong to this particular tribe, they belong to that particular tribe. We fight amongst ourselves. And then whereas the people who are taking these things, they unite. They don't care whether a person is Spanish or is Portuguese or is Italian. They regard themselves as a white nation and as a white race.
So what would you like now when it comes to perhaps some response from the MEC or the head of department in really just getting some clarity on the, the stance of the circular?
Well, the MEC and the head of department, they know where these things are being discussed. They must go back to the chamber and discuss this particular issue so that there's no hostility in the education sector. We have worked so hard up to where we are today with Minister Angie Motshekga and the DG that we were able to really say we need to prioritize education, we need to prioritize our children, and therefore we'll use the chamber that we have to engage on issues like this. So the MEC and the head of department, we advise them, go to the chamber, engage with the trade unions there and hear them and then be agreeing what is it that you can do. The Heritage Day is coming. Nobody's going to block any other school from deciding how they are going to, celebrate the Heritage Day. They celebrate it in the manner in which they want, and they don't use one culture. They celebrate different cultures so that we are able to then say we are rich as South Africa because of our diversity. So that's what we can advise them. But of course, the secular for now is mute because the day has gone. But obviously, the divisions and the insults are still going on against our secretary just because she is a Xhosa by origin, and then finding her.
Okay, we seem to have lost Mugwena Maluleke, the Sadtu General Secretary. Let me thank you for your time and, of course, responding to some of those questions there.